Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was born in a small Kyoto building on April 27, 2017. And it is, what? Only the most popular Mario Kart game like ever of our time? With its nearly 8-year-long uncontested reign in the spotlight, 70 million copies sold, DLC support, and highest track quantity by far, it's easy to see how this game has sort of become the model Mario Kart game for most people. If Mario Kart 64 was Burger King or Taco Bell was Wii, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe would undoubtedly be the kingpin McDonald's. Whoa! Not just for being the juggernaut in fame and popularity, but also for being the most generic and cheaply gratifying. To be honest, I don't know if it's just me. Okay, it's obviously not just me. But Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is just kind of f***ing really boring now. I don't think I've personally witnessed a greater downfall to a game for me once the newest installment came out. And this is the same game that almost made Mario Kart 7 obsolete. It's kind of strange that this is the case, but also not really. For the longest time, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has been my go-to Mario Kart, and probably my most played entry in the series too. I know 500 hours may not seem that much to some of you. Seriously, I've seen some of y'all's truly insane playtimes, but I don't ever put this much time to games unless it's something that really matters to me. And yet, despite all these hours spent and the memories earned, I just can't go back and enjoy it the same way again anymore. Not since Mario Kart World came out a year ago. And honestly, I don't even miss it at all. I know that might sound like a bit of a betrayal from someone who made more videos on it than any other game, or well, so far. But honestly, I think that says a lot about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe itself. I made a review for it talking about all of its problems in depth last year, a little before Mario Kart World released, and now that it's the newest game, I'm thinking I was probably even too generous in that video. How do you age so poorly as a Mario Kart game that I feel absolutely no incentive to return when your time's up? Because I haven't ever felt this with any previous installment. Minus maybe 7. Even when the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe imperialism was at its largest, there were always plenty of reasons for me to come back to the old days. Even the ones that aged badly in a technical sense. Like yeah, nobody's denying that Super Mario Kart is an absolute torture simulator to play now, but it's also that which gives it a distinct standing in the series. Same with the likes of Mario Kart 64 and its jank, Mario Kart Double Dash with its double characters and special items, or Wii with its diabolical physics and bike mechanics. Even hecking Mario Kart 7, which 8 tried its damnedest to copy from. Even that game had first-person mode, and I guess the kind of unique calm atmosphere if that counts. Also, unlockables, anyone? Above all, even though they all had functional limitations, that in and of itself made them enlightening experiences in their own right. That's not to say they're better games overall than 8 Deluxe, but there's a reason to come back. So, what does the Mario Kart 8 Mafia have? Status? Okay, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend it's got nothing worth going back to. That would obviously be in bad faith. I could name a couple of things quantity-wise. You know, anti-gravity is cool, even if it doesn't really change the gameplay much. The visuals were impressive. The battle mode, while neglected, is fairly dynamic. And I mean, it has a lot of tracks. I mean, look, oh my god, it has so many of them. However, actually playing the game, it's just so hecking boring. Unlike every other game before except 7, 8 Deluxe may not be functionally held back mechanically. If anything, it's perfectly responsive in all the ways. However, it is also the trade-off of any personality or fun driving quirks to master. I, for one, always did have a problem with this, even way before Mario Kart World was a thing, and while this issue was easier to look past then since functionality is the most important groundstone, plus at the end of the day this was still the most developed game in raw content, there was definitely always that slight sense of monotony to how easy and basic the game was to control, which made it feel kind of dull to play for extended playtimes. Now enter Mario Kart World, a game which answers to all that nagging I had for how 8 Deluxe played. Mario Kart World is a game that is many things. To me, it is the best that Mario Kart has ever been as a full product. In part because I'm an enjoyer of the open world you get to roam around in, however none of it would be quite as fun as it is if it weren't for just how dynamic it can get to drive in. We've all seen it, we all know it. Mario Kart World gave us so many different ways to express yourself on the road, with dozens of new types of moves like wall riding, rail grinding, and trick chaining to pull off, that it feels almost hard to imagine that we've actually gone all our lives without them until now. Particularly because they just make the experience feel so much freer, as do also the more vibrant character animations and looser physics. And naturally, you'd think this new hardwiring would make every preceding Mario Kart harder to go back to. But no, only Mario Kart 8 Deluxe of my muscle memory. Only in this one will I randomly try to chain multiple tricks in midair or attempt a charge jump, only to remember what game I'm actually playing. And the reason for this is that besides 7, every other Mario Kart game looks, plays, and just feels much more different from not just Mario Kart World, but each other as well. And that just makes it easier to switch headspace when booting them up. Like, if I'm playing DS, I know I'm gonna be sneaking a lot. If it's Super Circuit, I'll be drift hopping around every corner. Or if it's Wii, it's all about the inside drifts and the Wii wheel. They all stand out from each other in physics and central mechanics, and while their physics specifically may not be entirely refined, that just makes them more challenging to control, which makes it feel liberating in its own right when you master them. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, meanwhile, well, it's not similar to Mario Kart World per se in this regard. However, what it is as functionally responsive, except without the personality and looseness that made up that game's feel. 8 Deluxe in general is just the most rigid and by the book basic bitch-ass Mario Kart there is controls-wise. And it's not just because it lacks Mario Kart World's parkour, every game preceding it does. But this one is already limited in uniqueness from the get-go. Point to me anything in this game that really quirks up the gameplay. Anti-gravity and underwater, they're effectively just visual enhancements that contribute to on paper more cool track ideas. Physically, they just make jumps slightly floatier, and you can collide into others for boosts for the former. Tricking? It's seen more cinematic days, same with half-pipes. 200cc? Okay, admittedly, that is a pretty cool way to spice up the difficulty. However, since most of the tracks weren't made with it in mind, it's by no means the optimal playstyle for this game, and at least for me, causes more frustration than it's worth. Gliding? It's just a fall with a bigger delay. You know, in Mario Kart 7, gliding actually felt like a big deal, since you actually had swift mobility in the air, and could even dive for quick upspeed bursts. And this leads me to another major drawback. When I see Mario Kart 8 Deluxe feels restrictingly generic, it's not just about the lack of mechanics, it's also the physics that are boring. They're just so damn stiff. Driving in this game just feels so heavy, like there's a magnet constantly pulling you down to the floor, which just gives the feel of being held back, for the sake of a safe and just plain accessible Mario Kart experience. And when Mario Kart World, or well, hell, every other Mario Kart is much more bouncy and loose, actually maybe not DS, it just sticks especially out. Seriously, even 7 felt looser, which certainly didn't hurt it either. All there really is to engage with in 8 Deluxe is holding in drifts whenever you turn. That's the extent of its engagement. Thank Christ this game at least has purple mini turbos. I don't know what I would do without them. Otherwise, it's just completely boring and barren on a technical level. To the point where the only area where this game really has anything to stand on is its courses. And more specifically, because there's 96 of them. Are they worth coming back to for me? To be honest, not really. I know for a lot of people, the track selection particularly can often be the most important part of a Mario Kart, but I mean, it certainly plays a large part. After all, what good is a Mario Kart without fun courses? And with 96 of them, that just by default ensures there's plenty of winners. But here's the kicker, they're only as much fun as it is to play the game in general. Like, I'm gonna be entirely honest, playing Mario Kart World and then coming back to replay this game's tracks feels like such an immense downgrade that I'm honestly considering dropping like half this game's tracks down a tier on my ranking. Not because the track designs themselves have gotten worse for me, or well, besides some of the booster course pass slop, but because, again, the game itself is just so boring mechanically. Why should I care that there are 96 courses when Mario Kart Super Circuit and World are down to the 30s, but with 10 times more depth? If you play these tracks once, you've pretty much seen all there is to them. It's still cool that there are so many, but it's not the make-all be-all to me. Before the booster course pass came out, my feelings were almost exactly the same on the game. Let me take you back in time a little. I remember when Mario Kart 8 was still getting new tracks, I would always get excited to be able to replay retro childhood classics, only to then play them and not find them as enjoyable anymore. Initially, I boiled those feelings down to probably just going through a realization phase that I may have overrated the original versions, but no, it's just way less fun to play them in this engine. And now, it's hard to even experience the nostalgia for all the courses I did grow up with here because of it. Even the Booster Course Pass, which if you've been on my channel since years back, are probably familiar with my passion for. The excitement that came with theorizing and predicting what future waves would add to the game, and the thrill of then finally being able to experience them, was unmatched. But we're not in 2023 anymore. The single thing that acted as rose-tinted glasses for them isn't here and never will be anymore. Now, they're just more tracks to bloat out the game, because Mario Kart World's development took longer than expected. At the end of the day, it's just a bunch of Mario Kart Tour remakes ported over with no deeper rhyme or reason. And while that doesn't mean they weren't fun to play, hell, a lot of them knocked it out of the park considering considering their source versions. Dear god, if it isn't hard to overlook just how cheaply made so many of them are though, whether it's in the visuals or even just removal in so many track elements. At least with the base game, even if I wasn't too massively big on it either, since a lot of the track design was a little repetitious, at least there was effort and a clear vision behind everything. And same for the battle mode, which as far as I'm concerned is the only mode that really has a damn to truly come back for. The fact that it has so many rule sets, despite only 8 arenas, makes it a far more interesting experience where you aren't just constantly running through the same motions. And even then, it's not something that can carry the game. The fact that there's only 8 stages still holds it back a lot in the replay value. Look, at the end of the day, is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe still technically a good game to play? Yes, I suppose so. It is fun. But when it is simply just fun in the most raw and shallow of ways possible, it's just so hard to get any meaningful enjoyment, especially with more developed games next to it. I want to love playing this game and its courses again, but I just can't because of how repetitive it all loops back to feeling. The gameplay is shallow and by the book, the course selection is good, but also kind of simple, and as much as I've already been on about this in the past, I have to mention it again, there are also just no proper unlockables to give meaning to anything. It's just a Mario Kart game that happens to have a buttload of courses, a good chunk of which has less for you to do than the average intermission track from World. Look, I know that may sound outrageous, but come on, it's kind of true. At the end of the day, I don't hate Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but oh boy, while it is a functionally good game at the end of the day, unless I just want to play a more casual Mario Kart with friends, or I was specifically looking for battle mode, I'd wish I'd be playing almost anything else when I do. 8 out of 10? Yeah, nah. How about we nudge it down to a 7? And even that feels like it's not gonna age too well. It's good, but only principally and technically so.
Typical Albert boring. Of course the video title was a goddamn lie.
Dude, I said I kinda hate it. That's a very important distinction.
Nah, you're just trying to rage bait me, you slimy clickbaiter.
You rage bait yourself. But yeah, this is all I just wanted to yap on about today. Maybe some of you agree with me, some of you won't, but I just wanted to get it out there how much this game has fallen off for me after Mario Kart World. So if you enjoyed it, like and subscribe for more videos like this, and let me know in the comments how your perception has changed on 8 Deluxe over the years. Follow my Twitter and join my Discord server for more updates, and so with all that being said, I'm signing off now, until next time.